Third lesson on the sociology of education is linked to the last one. We're looking at why do middle class kids do better in school than working class kids, even if they're the same intelligence. Keywords are material deprivation, being poor, attitude, speech patterns, how you speak, cultural deprivation, being deprived of culture, cultural capital, having culture, opportunity hoarding, labelling, expectation, self-fulfilling prophecy. So, let's crack straight on. Various factors. Sociologists have various ideas as to how come middle class kids do better than working class kids. First thing, material deprivation. Physically being poor. If you look in a photograph, these children are in a damp flat. Now, if you live in a cold, damp flat, if you are badly nourished, you're going to be ill more. If you're ill more, you're going to miss school. If you miss a lot of school, you fall behind. Or if you don't have a very good diet, if you don't have breakfast, you can't concentrate in school. If your parents don't buy you educational toys because they don't have the money, all these are material deprivation factors, means you're going to fall behind the middle class kids even before you start school. So for example, classic baby's toy, very important type of toy, teaches you to recognize shapes. Recognizing shapes is the first step in learning to read. If you've never had that toy, doesn't matter how clever you are, you're going to fall behind the middle class kids who've had it. Parents' attitude. If your parents don't really care about education, if they don't go to parents' evenings, if they don't check you've done your homework, if they don't look at your planner, all that sort of thing, you are not going to care. Primary socialization. You learn how to behave from your parents. If your parents don't think school's important, you won't think school's very important. No matter how clever you are, you won't think it's a big deal. Speech patterns. Here's a scenario. A phone rings in a house. There's a baby in the kitchen banging on pots and pans. One mother says, "Shut up!" The other mother says, "Could you be quiet for a minute, please? I need to answer the phone." They are two very different ways of speaking, and Bernstein called these the elaborated code and the restricted code. He said the middle class have an elaborated code, a big vocabulary, complex messages. Can you be quiet for a minute, please, because I'm on the phone, a time frame and a reason, rather than shut up, restricted code. Now Bernstein and a lot of people think, well, that holds working class kids back when they start school. Particularly, think about it, the teacher's going to be middle class. So day one of nursery, when the teacher says, "Could you all stop talking, please, and come and sit in a circle so I can read you a book?" If you have a restricted code, no one's ever spoken to you like that before. You don't know what they're saying. You're automatically falling behind, which is linked to labelling and expectations. The teachers are middle class. If the kid is middle class in the way they speak and all that business, the way they dress, the way they behave, the teacher will label them as being able and will expect them to do well. If the teacher labels them as working class and will expect them to do badly, that can lead to a self-fulfilling prophecy. So the example I use in class is when you're in primary school, when the school gives you a teddy bear to take home for the weekend, and you've got to fill in a book saying what teddy bear's done, the middle class parents will take the teddy bear, the child, to the British Museum and have photographs taken and put those in the book. That helps label that child as middle class and intelligent, and that helps them in school. Cultural capital versus deprivation. Cultural capital, all the extra cultural wealth, the knowledge, the attitudes that your parents can give you. So if you have cultural capital, you've been to museum trips a lot, you've been to art galleries, you've learned to play the piano, You speak with a certain accent. You dress a certain way. And that gives you tremendous advantage as you get older, because you are middle class and people label you as middle class, as opposed to cultural deprivation, which often the working class have. But they don't go to museums. They don't speak in a posh accent. They don't know how to tie a tie. They don't know what to wear. That's cultural deprivation. So it can be summed up in two cycles. The cycle of deprivation. Parents who are poor, working class, they are hopeless and feel helpless. They are malnourished, housing is poor, they're often ill. They have kids, therefore their kids are the same. Therefore the kids do badly in school. Therefore when they become adults, they stay poor. And then when they have kids, the cycle starts again. Parents feel unable to help children. They suffer from what's called fatalism. There's nothing we can do, we can't help. They have material deprivation. They're cold, they're ill, strictly cold. They don't do these things. Compare that to the cycle of privilege. Rich, often middle class parents, they give their kids lots of cultural capital, museums, books in the houses, piano lessons. The kids feel empowered and confident. They like school, they're good at school. The kids are healthy and rarely ill. They have all this cultural capital. They do well at school. Because they do well at school, they end up staying rich and privileged and end up becoming rich, upper middle class parents themselves. The cycle of privilege and the cycle of deprivation.